Vault 94 sits at the edge of the mire in Appalachia, with its door buried by vines and fog. Most players stumble through it for loot or daily ops runs, but almost nobody understands the full story of what went down inside those walls. The terminals tell a tale so dark that even by Vault-Tec standards, this one stands out as genuinely tragic. Vault 94 was built to house a pacifist religious commune led by Pastor Gabriela Salivar and her agricultural collect. These people believed in absolute nonviolent, communal living and faith-based harmony. Vault-Tec gave them the green light, not because the company suddenly grew a conscience, but because they wanted to run a twisted social experiment. The official overseer instructions spell it out clearly. Test how pacifist ideologues modify their belief system when forced to survive in a violent post-apocalyptic waste. The setup was cruel from the start. Vault 94 had no weapons, no armor, and no defensive measures whatsoever. Instead, it was stocked with seed, farming equipment, and a fully functional Garden of Eden creation kit for terraforming. The residents would govern themselves through a council where every member voted by a terminal. There was technically an overseer, a maintenance worker named Tyrone Hayes, but his role was purely observational. Vault-Tec wanted to see if pure pacifism could survive first contact with the waste, but I don't think anyone could have predicted what would happen. Before we get to the massacre, you need to understand why Vault 94's setup was so much worse than it appeared. October 23rd, 2077. The bombs started falling at noon. The first bus of commune members arrived at Vault 94 around the same time, and Tyrone Hayes held the door open as long as he could. He kept stalling, hoping the second bus would make it. At 1:30 p.m., the failsafe protocols kicked in, and the door began its automatic closure sequence. The second bus never arrived. Terminal entries confirm it was locked out at 3 p.m., stranded outside with roughly half the commune still on board. Reddit threads on our Fallout lore debate what happened to those people endless. The consensus is grim. They either died in the immediate nuclear aftermath or starved outside the vault door. Some users speculate they might have tried breaking in or found shelter elsewhere, but no evidence supports survival. Hayes mentions the lockout in his personal logs with obvious guilt, though technically he followed protocol by letting the failsafe engage. Inside, the surviving residents settled into their new reality. They had about 20 or 30 people, plenty of supplies, and a 1-year mandatory seal period before the vault would open. Vault-Tec's experiment parameters required complete isolation for 12 months. No contact with the outside world, no exception. The commune accepted this easily since they were already used to communal living and faith-based routines. Life inside Vault 94 during that first sealed year was surprisingly peaceful, according to the terminal record. The residents maintained their religious services, tended massive hydroponic garden in the agriculture wing, and held council meetings to decide everything democratically. There was no overseer authority because Hayes kept his true role secret. He attended services despite Vault-Tec's orders against fraternization, fell in love with Angelique Salivar, Gabriela's daughter, and by August 2078, he proposed to her. She said yes. The terminals paint this period almost like a utopia. Communal meals, shared labor, peaceful worship, botanical research. They cultivated rare seeds in the vault's extensive greenhouse section and experimented with the Garden of Eden creation kit unit, learning how it could theoretically terraform the wasteland above. Pastor Gabriela remained skeptical of Hayes, despite his integration into their community. She saw him as an outsider, a Vault-Tec plant, which he technically was, but Hayes genuinely fell for their way of life. By October 2078, as the 1-year seal approached its end, the council approved something called the Ambassador Program. The idea was simple and heartbreakingly naive. Send unarmed representatives into the wasteland with vault door codes and open invitation. Anyone who needed food, shelter, or safety could enter Vault 94 freely. The community would share everything. No violence, no conflict, just radical hospitality. But something was wrong with the vault system, and the residents didn't notice because they'd never seen a vault before. Hayes noticed. This is the detail that changes everything about Vault 94's story. The massacre wasn't just raiders being violent, it was the trigger event for a disaster that was already building. October 23rd, 2078. Exactly 1 year after the bombs fell, the vault door opened for the first time. The ambassadors walked out carrying nothing but goodwill and access code. They spread across Appalachia looking for survivors, and they found them. Corpses of these ambassadors show up at Prickett's Fort, Dolly Sod, and scattered raider camps across the map. 12 documented bodies, all showing signs of torture. The wasteland was not kind to pacifists. Players on Reddit, RRFO76, have cataloged these corpse locations, and the stories are uniformly horrific. The ambassadors encountered desperate, starving, traumatized survivors who viewed the vault dwellers as naive targets. Some were probably killed immediately for sport. Others were interrogated for information about the vault's resources. A few might have been kept alive long enough to extract door codes through torture. The terminals inside Vault 94 never acknowledge what happened to the ambassadors because the residents inside had no way of knowing their people were being slaughtered. Meanwhile, back in the vault, life continued as normal. Council meetings, farming, services. They waited for their ambassadors to return with good news about the outside world. That news never came. What came instead were raiders from Harper's Ferry. Now here's where the timeline gets disturbing in ways players don't usually catch. Corpses of 12 ambassadors are scattered across Appalachia, many at raider sites. However, one reached Harper's Ferry, claimed supplies for a farm, and invited Mayor Vox's desperate survivors to the vault leading to the massacre. The ambassadors didn't just die. They provided the intelligence that got everyone else killed. The council was still waiting for good news. On November 20th, they had no idea their own people had already sold them out, not through betrayal, but through belief. Does that make the ambassadors victims or accomplices? The question haunted Hayes in his final logs. November 20th, 2078, 12:04 p.m. A group of armed survivors arrived at Vault 94's open door. Terminal logs from the Vault's security system captured everything.
This meeting of the Vault 94 Community Council is now in session. Today is the day. Our first guest should be arriving. Oh, you're early. Good morning. On behalf of...
Shut it. The hell's your game?
What?
You send out all these ambassadors. All are welcome. Come join us. We have food to spare. And you think we just waltz into a fucking trap like that? Oh, God.
Gentlemen, I assure you, this is no trap. We would be happy to share.
Share? Right. You're stalling. Boys! Boss said to start talking, lady.
Please, put your guns down. This is a peaceful community.
No!
Mother!
Fuck it. Just kill them.
The council was in session, discussing crop rotations or some similarly peaceful topic, when strangers walked into their meeting space. Mike Ramirez, working reception, directed them to the council atrium assuming they were refugees seeking shelter. The council greeted the newcomers warmly. "No trap, we share," someone shouted. The council audio recording captures the visitors interrupting the meeting, declaring it a trap, and opening fire on the unarmed council. The entire council was gunned down in seconds. Gabriela Salivar died at her podium. The other council members dropped where they stood. These people had never seen violence like this. They had no weapons, no training, no response protocols. What happened in those 5 hours, between 12:04 p.m. and 5:51 p.m., is mostly lost to history, but fragments survive. The Garden of Eden creation kit holotape records the minigun fire.
The hell's that?
A lot of rats here, boss.
Lucas, check the terminal.
On it. These people are nuts. No weapons, nothing. They didn't even try to fight back.
I ain't complaining. Hell of a score.
Sure, but all that work to get in here? And what do we find? A freaking briefcase?
Boss, the terminal says it's a GEC, Garden of Eden creation kit.
I don't know, some religious crap.
This ain't no idol. Come on. And what's with all the rats?
Radiation, huh? You know, boys, I think this here's some kind of mind control device. It's what drove all those saps crazy.
Mind control? You serious?
You got a better explanation? I'm already feeling a little off. Now let's just waste this thing and get out of here. Red, light it up. You got it.
No, wait!
that destroys the device at 5:51 p.m., which means some residents survived the initial attack and were being hunted through the vault wings. The raiders didn't just kill the council and leave, they systematically cleared every section. The raiders, mistaking the Garden of Eden creation kit for a mind control device, opened fire on it with a minigun at 5:51 p.m. The raiders tore through the vault for the next several hours. They found the agriculture wings, the supplies, the technology, but they also found the Garden of Eden creation kit, sitting in its dedicated chamber, humming with energy. Someone in the raiding party decided it was a mind control device. Maybe they'd heard rumors about Vault-Tec technology. Maybe they were just paranoid and violent. At 5:51 p.m., they opened fire on the Garden of Eden creation kit unit with what terminal logs describe as minigun impacts. The Garden of Eden creation kit was never designed to survive weapons fire. It was a cold fusion terraforming device, essentially a controlled nuclear reaction contained in a compact unit. When bullets tore through its casing, everything went catastrophically wrong. The terminal logs record a level 6 meltdown event with radiation surging to 7,800 rads per second. The blast radius extended 5.5 kilometers from the vault. This explosion didn't just kill the raiders and any remaining vault residents. It fundamentally altered the regional ecosystem. The mire, that foggy, mutant-infested swamp region, was born from the Garden of Eden creation kit's uncontrolled release. The device was meant to create life, to terraform dead land into paradise. Instead, its destruction created a radioactive hellscape where nothing grows right. Strangler vines, aggressive mirelurks, perpetual fog thick enough to choke on. All of it traces back to November 20th, 2078, 5:51 p.m. Reddit discussions on r Fallout lore have thoroughly analyzed this event and confirmed there were no survivors. The radiation levels alone would have killed anyone within the vault within minutes. The raiders who pulled the trigger died instantly. Any vault residents hiding in sealed sections would have suffocated or died of radiation poisoning shortly after. Some users speculate Hayes might have escaped, since he knew the maintenance tunnels, but his final terminal entry suggests he was in the vault when everything went down. His last log is dated before the massacre, with him expressing hope that the ambassadors would return safely. The mire wasn't an accident, it was data collection. After the vault fell, Appalachia slowly discovered what happened through scattered evidence. Those ambassador corpses appeared at raider camps like warnings. Some were displayed as trophies, others were left to rot where they were killed. The door codes the ambassadors carried led to more raids, more violence, but by then, there was nothing left to raid. Vault 94 was a radioactive tomb. Terminal records from Harper's Ferry paint a picture of desperation in late 2078. Mayor Vox was investigating strange reports about the vault. His people were starving. The discovery of a fully stocked agricultural vault must have seemed like salvation. The group he sent became the Massacre Party. They weren't professional raiders like the Cutthroats or Blood Eagles. They were just desperate survivors who made a terrible choice and paid for it immediately. This context doesn't excuse the slaughter, but it explains the brutality. The wasteland had been churning for a year by that point. Trust was dead. Mercy was a luxury. The Vault residents' radical pacifism wasn't just impractical, it was suicidal. Vault-Tec knew this going in. They designed the experiment specifically to put nonviolent ideologues in an impossible situation. The company got exactly the data they wanted. Pacifism fails violently when confronted with wasteland reality. Fast forward to 2103 and beyond, when Vault 76 dwellers and other wastelanders can freely explore Vault 94. The place is still standing, technically, but it's been completely overtaken by the mutations of its own Garden of Eden creation kit created. Mirelurks nest in the flooded agriculture wings. Strangler vines choke every hallway. Radiation hotspots still glow green in the reactor and Garden of Eden creation kit chamber areas. The Vault went through several gameplay iterations in Fallout 76. Initially locked, it became accessible via Vault raids, Dead in the Water, Meltdown Washout, in the 2019 Nuclear Winter Update. Those raids were notoriously buggy and unpopular. Players on RRFO76 absolutely hated them for being tedious, glitchy, and occasionally character deleting. The 3 raid variants, Dead in the Water, Meltdown, and Washout, required coordinated teams and offered minimal rewards for maximum frustration. Bethesda eventually removed the raids entirely. Since the One Wasteland update in 2021, Vault 94 has been freely accessible. You can walk right in, no prerequisites, and explore what's left. The loot is modest, but thematically appropriate. Vault 94. Steel scrap drops throughout the location, and can be used to craft themed armor sets like Strangler Heart Power Armor, which has poison resistance and melee bonuses. There's also Thorn Armor and Solar Armor, all craftable with gold bullion plans from Regs and Deliverance. But there's one area players still can't access. The residential wing where Hayes and Angelique lived remains sealed behind a collapsed ceiling that even the best glitch exploits can't bypass. Data miners have extracted assets from that section: a nursery with painted walls, personal quarters with family photos, a small chapel. Content that was clearly meant to be seen, but never made it into the accessible version. The community debates whether Bethesda sealed it for performance reasons or because showing those intimate spaces would make the tragedy too personal. Either way, it creates this haunting absence in the vault. You can see where people worked and died, but not where they loved and lived. The place that would humanize them most is the one place you can't go. The location occasionally appears in daily ops rotations, filling the halls with whatever enemy type the game selects. Fighting robots or blood eagles inside Vault 94's corpse adds a layer of dark irony. These violent raiders and machines occupy a space that was built to reject violence entirely. The community finds this fitting. Threads on Reddit celebrate the Vault's lore, even while acknowledging the gameplay around it was bungled at launch. Vault 94's story resonates because it's genuinely tragic without being cheap. These weren't evil people running a corrupt experiment like Vault 11 or Vault 112. They were true believers in radical pacifism who got sacrificed by Vault Tech to prove a point. The terminals make you root for them, even though you know their doom. Hayes' personal logs about falling in love, the Council's earnest discussions about sharing resources, the naive optimism of the Ambassador program, all of it builds toward inevitable slaughter. The community has picked apart every detail. Oxhorn's lore video on Vault 94 remains one of the most watched in his catalog. Players screenshot the Ambassador corpses and share theories about which specific raider camps killed which ambassadors. Some claim to have found connections to other Appalachian factions. Others draw parallels to Vault 22's plant outbreak from New Vegas, since both vaults feature botanical experiments gone catastrophically wrong. The real-world inspirations are obvious once you look. Amish communities, Quaker pacifism, Mennonite agricultural communes. All of these groups maintain non-violent principles in a largely violent world through isolation and selective engagement. Vault 94 asked what happens when you strip away the isolation and force immediate engagement with maximum violence. The answer is extinction. Vault Tech's cruelty here is almost philosophical. They gave the commune everything they said they wanted: autonomy, resources, a chance to rebuild according to their values. The experiment wasn't about deprivation like Vault 12 or psychological torture like Vault 11. It was about testing whether pacifism could survive without compromise. The answer came in 6 hours of gunfire. That Garden of Eden creation kit. The explosion remains the Vault's most significant legacy. The Mire region exists because of November 20th, 2078. Every Strangler Vine, every Mirelurk Queen, every patch of radioactive fog traces back to that single catastrophic moment. The device that was meant to create paradise instead created a nightmare biome. This ties into larger Fallout themes about intentions versus outcomes. The Garden of Eden creation kit appears across multiple games as this almost magical terraforming tool. Fallout 2 made it the MacGuffin for the whole plot. The Enclave wanted it. The Chosen One needed it. Everyone treated it like salvation. Vault 94 shows what happens when salvation becomes a weapon. Reddit theories connect the Mire's creation to larger ecosystem changes across Appalachia. Some users argue the explosion's radiation is why certain creatures mutated the way they did. Others point to terminal data showing the spread patterns matched Garden of Eden creation kit protocols running in reverse. Instead of organizing matter into life, the destroyed device randomized and corrupted everything it touched. The science is intentionally vague, but the results speak for themselves.